welcome to the EmpowerHer series. I'm your host, Jessica Jane. This series is all about real women, real stories, and real growth. Our stories have power, and when we share them, we remind others that they're never alone. Get ready to be inspired. This is EmpowerHer.
Hello, beautiful lady, my fellow queen. For anybody that doesn't know you, I actually only know you for we met like a week ago.
A week
Um,
ago.
a week ago, and we connected straight away. So when people might not know what I mean when I say fellow queen, so we were both finalists in International Miss UK pageant, which is where I met this beautiful lady, and we just connected straight away. So I'm so excited to have you on Empower Her for episode 7 to get to know a little bit more about your background and story, what's led you into pageantry, how you've kind of found your voice and confidence with this as well, and for you to share that with our Empower Her community. So I'm going to pass it over to you. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and just a kind of a little bit about you and your background.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I feel like we're back to our usual pageant world. So my name is Deimante, Kuncyte. I have a bit of everything going on in my life. I am obviously accountant with audit assistant manager role just now. I am still studying for ACCA exams. I have actually my final exam next week on Wednesday, so I'm still going through my exams. Also, I do pageants and I also run my own podcast. So, it's a bit of everything. And when you think about it, sometimes you think, oh, maybe it's a lot, but I'm enjoying this. And I think that's the key, keeping yourself busy. And yeah, that's the beauty of being a busy lady.
Yeah, definitely. And I do find actually that the busier people always say to me, how do you fit everything in? And sometimes I don't even know how I fit everything in. But I find that the busier I am, the more I do actually fit in. When I'm actually got time, I waste time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like, you know what? I think I enjoy it and I think I try when I have challenges. I think if you don't have much going on, then it's easier to swipe, don't do much, be a bit lazier. I don't remember last time I watched a film or was watching any Netflix series, but I think it's so much better because, once you have a goal, sometimes, it could be challenging. I think if you start everything in one go, if you had, just one day you woke up and decided I want to do everything in one go, that would not be sustainable. But I think if start with one thing, let's say, also I have a job and every so often I have exams. You juggle two, then you add another thing maybe in the equation, as time goes on. It was probably pageant. Pageant brought extra stuff like it was kind of coming as a hobby, events and podcasts and fundraisers. And then if it all happened at once, I don't think it would be easy to do it because you would feel overwhelmed. Because I used
Yeah.
to have sometimes I do get anxiety. If it's too much on one plate to juggle, like you're a bit, right, this is a bit too much. But I think it's the secret of taking one thing at a time, keeping up with it, and then adding another thing. And I think that's why it's sustainable and it's enjoyable. You don't have to, stress too much sometimes either. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So if you can just share with us what kind of led you into the work you're doing now, what kind of made you want to go into being an accountant, but also what's your story of what's led you into pageantry and empowering women?
Yeah, so I think with accountancy, I think when you're young, you don't really know what you want to do. I think I always feel myself, maybe it sounds crazy, how I'm gonna look almost like the business lady, just someone who dresses. I like, smart outfits. I like that type of styles. And then when we were younger, I was like, oh, I would look up and those girls were like, oh, that's actually so cool. And also at school, I was good in pretty much, well, everything. Math wasn't my strongest part, but somehow I ended up applying for economics degree. And I think when I moved here, when I was 18 or 19, I moved to UK and I had economics degree. That's what I finished in Aberdeen Uni. I still didn't know what I wanted to do because it's like, what do you do when you finish economics? I was like it's so unclear when you're in uni how to go to next step. And I think for me, it was I kind of knew maybe I should probably go to accountancy finance side. I just ended up applying for jobs, but because at the time I lived in Aberdeen and my graduation was 2015, they had recession which anyone who doesn't know, Aberdeen is literally, it's oil and gas capital. And if it was just a normal recession, it doesn't hit when, it's a bit like about oil and gas bubble. And that year was oil and gas bubble burst, and basically people being redundant, everyone losing the jobs. It was massive problem in Aberdeen at the time. And then I imagine someone like graduate trying to get a job, your first job, who would actually take you on when people are actually losing jobs with like a lot of experience? So it was a bit of a struggle. I think I was still working in hospitality at Sushi at the time. I was assistant manager, but I didn't want to be in hospitality. That was just my job at the time, to fill the time when you study the bills, so pay the bills. And my goal was always like to actually get like a proper 9 to 5 office job. And it was, one of those where I remember I applied for jobs. I don't even know how many applications I sent out, hundreds. And at one point, I think I had maybe it was my first interview. I walked in, and the lady was lovely. It was a small accountancy firm in Aberdeen, and we had interview. And she was like, "Why would I employ you? Because you don't have experience." And that's where normally I hit you, because you are a student, you finish uni. Where did you get experience from? It's so hard. Like, either you have a degree or have experience. Just how? So pretty much, I remember saying to her, "It's like, someone needs to give me a chance to show me how amazing I am, because I can do this. I can learn. I can, be great, and I take on the tasks. Like, if someone gives me a chance." That was me saying, please. I didn't say, "Please give me a chance." I was like, someone needs to give me a chance to prove and show. Until I get that chance, like, I won't be able to get in the door. And I got a job. And obviously, that was my first maybe 11 month where I spent in that accountancy firm. And then my next job, because unfortunately the company didn't do well. I think they kind of had to get rid of everyone apart from 2 people. So going for redundancies and stuff. Within 2 weeks, I got in oil and gas, and I worked in Petrofac for 2 years, nearly 2 years. So that was like amazing experience. And it's obviously one of those things, once you get in accountancy, like, right, okay, trying to survive, sink, don't swim, don't sink. And then was very lucky. 6 years ago, I applied for another job with the company I'm working now, and then I got a relocation to Edinburgh, and I'm still doing the same job, audit, which I absolutely love. And then end up studying again for ACCA qualifications. So that was a big one. One of those where you have to believe in what you want to do, don't give up, and then someone has to give you a chance somewhere along the way. I think that sometimes I see the same way when maybe it came to me. I was maybe saying, oh, if it worked back in the day, some would say hospitality is like, someone comes in, I was like, I could tell they need just a chance to get a job and then see what happens next. So it's one of those. I think that was basically why I end up where I am now. And it's been like 8 years, something like that. And then it's a pageantry as well. So pageants was an interesting one. So I done pageants in Aberdeen 10 years ago. I done a couple local ones, and then ended up going to London for one of them because I'm going Miss Aberdeen. And then from there, I think they picked me to go to South Korea for Miss Global Beauty. It was something I couldn't go, I think it was last minute to do with visas. So I was like, oh, I might not do pageants again. I think at the time I was like, right, I'm a student, I'm like 22, I'm too young, it's so expensive, I might not do it again. And then something clicked last year, which was 2024. Yeah, I started with 24. I remember I was a bit lost. Maybe that's how best to explain. I was missing something, purpose. If I think it was purpose more than anything. You can have a job, you can have things going, but like something was missing. And I think one day before exam, like a night before exam, I couldn't sleep. And I remember I was scrolling through Instagram, and I was like, oh, there's ad. I was like, I wonder if it's a scam or real thing. It's like a Miss Great Britain Edinburgh. And I ended up looking through. I was like, oh, that's actually interesting because I've never heard about that before in Edinburgh. And I applied. Everything changed. New people, new friends, new connections, opportunities, like everything came from there. And I think because inspired people or inspired women, because I was just inspired from then. I was like, from someone a bit of a, oh, can I do this? To like, oh yeah, let's do this. So it's interesting journey, and probably the best decision I've ever made. to
Yeah.
apply for pageant again
Oh, I
last
love
year.
that. We'll touch a little bit more on pageantry shortly, but with regards to your job going into accountancy, I know a lot of people will resonate this with, and especially people going straight from university and trying to get a job, because it is so hard. People do find that they're not given that chance. I know when I first left studying within the beauty industry, and the amount of jobs I applied for, and people were like, "Oh, you haven't got enough experience," and I just was like, "How am I going to get experience if nobody gives me a job to get experience?" I was like, "This is just ridiculous," and I know a lot of people face those kind of challenges. So for you, what do you feel kept you in that game of not giving up, kept on trying? Obviously, that's building resilience as well. So how do you feel that shaped you around that?
It's a good question. I think obviously you do see sometimes around you people getting jobs quicker. I think sometimes the difference was I was studying full time and working full time, and then a lot of people presumed that, oh, if she's working full time hospitality, she has experience in that, maybe she should stay there. But I'm like, no, no, no. That was my choice to be fully financial independent from my parents. I didn't want to take any money since the first month I moved here. That was my decision. It wasn't anything to do with anything else. That was, I think, the tricky one because, I had CV and then it says assistant manager. I'm like, yep, but I want to go in finance. And I think it struggles real. A lot of times, as students, you need to, I think as a student, you need to always think ahead. What can I do to stand out from the crowd? And I think a lot of times I've done the big projects for like uni and getting involved in all events. And so I think I still had quite a few things I was involved with, which actually sounded really good on CV. So I think it's always thinking, what can I do, especially when you're looking to get those first jobs, and or if you're in uni, what can I do to stand out from the crowd? Because you want to stand out from the crowd, sometimes in unusual ways. Sometimes you can come up with something crazy. I remember I was working in Rev in Aberdeen, Revolution Bar, and I came up with the idea that I'm gonna save them money from electricity. And I'd done a massive project. It was, I think, maybe for uni or maybe I'd done it for fun. Just for Revolution, how I was like, I calculated everything, as in like every single thing, where the energy goes, got reports and stuff. And I was like, if you buy this for every single venue around UK, you can save like half of the million. And also the prices went up afterwards with like electricity and gas wouldn't apply. But it was something like I thought outside the box. And
Mhm.
I think that's the important part.
Yeah.
And then in terms of applying, I had nothing to lose. I mean, I worked where I worked. I was still getting paid. I knew what I wanted to do, and I think because nothing could stop me what I wanted. So it was disappointing. God, 11 months, and then no. I can't remember if maybe I had an interview, one or two, but then whoever fall through, was for the best because I got where I am now. So I'm glad the first couple of jobs didn't go through. I think maybe being sometimes could be painful to be rejected for some places or some jobs, but everything happens for the reason. Maybe you're overqualified. I think that was what he said before. And yeah, everything happens for the reason. Sometimes you
Mhm.
just need to be patient. Right thing will come, and then just don't give up. Basically, and it is building your character, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love that. So basically, be prepared, stand out, and never give up would be your kind
Go
of
on.
top tips there.
What's the worst
Also,
can happen? Just do it.
yeah, and I
Try.
do think as well, with regards to what you've just said about everything happens for a reason. One of the things that I really look at, like, the way I think now on certain things is if something doesn't work out, or a job that I've applied for, or something like that, whatever it may be, my attitude now is very much it's fine. It's a sign that that wasn't meant for me, and something better's going to come along. And you do normally find, don't you, that then great, better opportunities do actually, like, the doors open, different things come your way, and they were meant for you. And then you realise actually the thing that you didn't get would have been a nightmare if you actually got it, because that wasn't meant for you at all.
It's so true. Sometimes you don't see it in the moment, but then when you look down the line, you're like, oh, actually, everything happens for the reason. And it's so true.
Yeah,
Sometimes to be like a long road to get to where you need to, but it makes sense at the end.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
definitely. I
that.
love that. So obviously the kind of work that you've been in and do now as well is very, I would say, is more of a male dominant kind of role. Do you feel as a woman you've had any challenges around that?
I think maybe my old jobs more
Hmm.
because oil and gas, that was one of those where you oil and gas is kind of men's industry. Overall, in fairness, our finance team was always like 90% females, which was really lovely. And then I think mainly I worked with females in my team. But end of the day, that was just a finance team. And then anything like big dogs, you call it, is always male dominated. In fact, I actually had some female bosses. So, but you do see it more, I think, in that industry. And I was quite lucky with my job. I moved in, like, sorry, the job I got afterwards, it was different because company really cared about people. You don't see it. What I normally know, what I hear from my friends who actually work in different companies, you could tell from the stories. Like there is always, maybe you have to be louder, you need to be, you know, just again stand out from the crowd as a
Hmm.
female. But I think in terms of my company, I was quite lucky. We have a lot of amazing female leaders. But also I think anyone who I work with, like managers and guys in the teams, they're amazing. And I think that is the difference. So I was quite lucky. I seen it, I think, in my other experience working in oil and gas, you could see it. It's different type of place, but I think there is companies out there who really try to be good, equal, and just feel like they care
Hmm.
about, regardless if female in a business or guy in a business. But overall, I think that is the standards overall in the industry where you do see it, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, I love that you've had that experience though of it being on the nicer side of things because I know so many women in those type of roles where it is male dominated that have really struggled and not been treated equal at all, even for like the exact same job role as a man and or not being taken seriously, and they have felt like they've had to really step in. I feel like a lot of women have lost their feminine energy because of that. They've had to step into that very masculine energy.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's
Like,
nice.
that's not good.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, so it's nice that you've had a bit of that opposite. You've seen the little tweaks where they have been a little bit different, but it's nice that you have felt a little bit more secure in those areas and not felt like you've been treated differently. So I love that. Um, so back to pageantry. Obviously, you've mentioned you felt like something was missing, and that's why you stepped into that kind of world, and everything changed. So when you say everything changed, what do you feel did actually change for you?
You know what? It was a strange one. When I actually look back, it's like nearly 2 years would be in Feb. So it's the first time I think when I decided, right, I'm gonna come back again to pageants. When I look back, like, I had, something going on for me, trying to, and I should think about it, like my life was way more bland. I think that added so much spice. I'm like, it sounds so crazy, but like pageantry was so interesting because it's one of those where you can actually meet new people. Like you and me met, like we literally met a week ago, and we
Yeah.
just like bouncing off with the energy, like just get on so well. But that's exactly what happened when I first went to Miss GP Edinburgh. It was like-minded girls. Like obviously, you wouldn't be best pals with another 20 girls, but you might find one or two, and you really connect. And then some of the girls are still my best pals to this
Mm.
day, which is like, I seen one of them like literally like a couple of days ago. And if it wasn't for that, no way I had those girls in my life. So that's first thing, is like friendships. And then you know what? It kind of made me realize how much people around you do. Like when you see like power females who actually don't give up, they raise money for charity, they create events. One of them was Veronica Walker, who inspired me massively, and she's now a very good friend, who was my pageant director. That's where I met her, through pageants. Just even someone doing amazing things makes you believe you can do as well. And it could be small fundraising events where I was like, I've never raised anything in my life, anything for the charity or stuff. And then all of a sudden you're like, right, okay, within a year and a half, I raised nearly £3,000 for a cause that was close to my heart. And then you never think you could do that, or even go out there trying to network with, different companies. And then a year later, you feel like you're involved within other events they invite you to. So it's a lot of things came through, like, like radio appearances, like stuff like that. Like I would never thought I would be able to do. And then you like have like a bit of a pinch moment. It's like, oh my God, I'm on radio. That's so, so cool. Like newspapers. Like it's not like I would actually be looking for, oh, let's, let's get out there just to get a bit of attention. It's more just like if you have something going on, like say event or some cause you want to support or something, is good to actually have tools around you and basically able to use it. So was it interesting, something different to do? And then also pageants inspired me to do, well, a podcast as well, which is, I never thought I would be able to, I don't know, I was like, can I? And then it's just most empowering thing ever. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's baby steps. You're like, okay, you see someone else around you doing well, and maybe you like get more inspired, more, I would say maybe more inspired, more kind of confident that you can do it, more empowered. And it just weird things happen, I think, when you surround yourself with the right group of people. And I think that's the power of the people around you. And I really felt it. And yeah, so that just, it's a powerful thing. And I feel like it was a game changer for me, because now there's no way back. I might decide not to do pageants in the future, but that doesn't take away what I have, that strength, that I believe in myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite beautiful thing that came with pageants, 100%.
Definitely. And I completely resonate with everything you're saying there, because it really does help you step into your own power as well, doesn't it? And one of the main reasons why I first ever kind of went into pageantry was because of that. One, I'm a great believer of everything good comes from pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And it was a big step out of my comfort zone. And one of my quotes that I always use is feel the fear and do it anyway. And I was absolutely petrified. So again, I was like, I've got to feel this fear, do it anyway. But also to then prove not only to myself that I could do something like this and be amongst all those other amazing women, but also prove to other women what can happen when you do just take that leap of faith and take that step and do it regardless of the fear, how much growth you get from that. And it really does push you, doesn't it? And opens up so many doors. And like you say, it's lovely to be surrounded by such amazing, empowering, inspiring women in that platform that all uplift each other as well. And you get so much wisdom and stuff from people that you meet. And like you say, like that's how we've met. And it is just such a lovely community, really, isn't it, in the pageant world?
Yeah, and I think even like last weekend, it was last weekend. It was, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it feels
A
like
week today.
it was
No,
a week.
not Easter. What day are we on today?
Oh, it's like a weekend before, so 10 days
A week
ago.
on
I think it feels like a
Saturday.
month
Yeah.
ago now. Like it's like, oh my God, so crazy. I was like, this all just met a week ago. But it's interesting, even like so we competed for international Miss UK, and there was so many lovely girls, and I'm like kind of like listening to everyone, like what they up to in life, and just getting to know everyone. And I'm like, this is some powerhouse females in here. Everyone does something, runs the businesses, or like XYZ, and so much to give, so much to offer, so much energy. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is great. And then what you do, leave a full cup. You just, you feel like, oh my God, actually, what? I got something from this. Like, you learn, you just see different perspective, and it's real nice when females actually support each other.
Yeah.
Obviously pageants, everyone knows pageants sometimes have a interesting maybe tag around them, or kind of people say, oh, pageants, but we actually, when you're part of it, you realize how amazing they are and how inspiring. And yeah, you can actually make amazing friends, and you don't know where those connections could take you in the future.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Some girls out there, honestly, they just power.
Yeah. You do meet such amazing women. So tell us a bit more about your podcast as well.
Of course. So it's called Blonde Boss Talk, and it's one of those where, again, I couldn't sleep, and one day woke up and was like, right, I'm gonna do it. Okay, let's do it. So it's one of those, I think, where I'm still actively trying to improve, because I'm trying to find the best what can I actually do. So initially, it's a podcast about it could be females or guys, just their stories. No, it could be anything. It could be anything that is related to that person. Like we done speaking about all about pageants, because also being part of the pageant world, it opens the doors to meet people, and you also want to share their stories. There was, girls talking about Mrs. World, to speaking about skin cancer awareness, to maybe speaking about domestic abuse, and awareness about other things that are actually important to them. Maybe stories from people who had nothing, to a story where they now have amazing life. Just like something like just so everyone can reflect. And I think it's just the open place where we could potentially speak about anything. It just depends on the person. So I'm just kind of trying to find this the I don't know how to best to explain. It's just like tailored to each person, if it makes sense. So I would always want to know then more about that person, and then get the best possible inspiring stories out of them, because everyone has something to tell, and it could be just to finding a way to find out what I don't know, and what actually would help someone else if they hear it. So it's nice, it's lovely, and honestly pushed me to the very next level. I realized actually how much I enjoyed it, and yeah, so, and it's been like 6 months now, so time flies
Yeah,
when
I
you
love
have
that.
fun.
And I love the fact that both our podcasts very like align in that way as well. It's exactly the same as like what my podcast is
We
about.
did speak about it, yeah.
Yeah,
But
just
I think
real
you know
women,
what?
real stories, and hoping that people being open and vulnerable to share their stories as well. Other people hear that and it helps them to know, one, they're not alone, two, like if they can do it, I can do it. And to just give those like words of wisdom and like how they've overcome struggles in life and where they are now, to obviously inspire and help other people along the way as well. So I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think sometimes you don't know who is watching, who is listening. Sometimes there might be someone who needed exactly that, just to hear a bit of a story. Because sometimes, some stories could be quite tough to talk about.
Hmm.
But if, people willing to speak about that for awareness, you don't know who you can help. And same, like for example, skin cancer awareness. So I had a skin cancer scare. It wasn't that, but it was a scare because I had to do 2 operations, to eliminate the problem. But if I didn't do it, I didn't speak about it, you know I could have leave it, but then I was like, nah, I want it to talk about it, because I think you just don't know who might be like, oh, actually, I went to some beds,
Yeah.
or maybe this and that. Because I had 3 or 4 of us had the same problem. So I was like, oh, maybe it's more common than I think, and I don't share with people. So
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think with on that note as well, with things that are like a struggle to talk about, some people are even like embarrassed to talk about it or feel like ashamed. I know you've mentioned to me before that you've witnessed things like psychological abuse and being around things like toxic relationships, which again I think is something that people would probably shy from, of being vulnerable enough to speak about and open up, and they kind of I feel a bit sheltered and alone in those areas. So, how have you used your platform now to help speak more openly around things like that and kind of break the silence around those kind of issues?
yeah. So I think sometimes it could be not only the platform. I think sometimes, so a lot of people around me had, you know, let's say tough situations, tough relationships with people I really care about. And I think I realized maybe I've not much spoke about that in podcast, but sometimes not as much about that yet. But as much like actually making sure the person who needs it to talk about actually speaks about it. Even that having conversation with me, is someone very close to me, in my circle, someone I really deeply care. So, and I was like, if that person, she speaks to me and tells more about it, then she maybe feels better. So almost I created a safe shield to talk about it. Almost like it's okay to speak, what happened, what was it tough, let's speak about it. But then what I realized, that person then walked away, and then she is so empowered, and she has so much to say when it comes to stuff like that. She would not keep her mouth shut. She would, if anywhere would be a situation where she would maybe should mention something about her situation, she would. And
Mhm.
then it will make everyone be like, okay, actually, I'm in that situation as well. And then I think it's just like a ripple effect. So it's more sometimes not as much like speaking to everybody like on a say platform. Sometimes just a small thing like that. And I also had a podcast which actually coming out soon, where Veronica Walker, she opened up a bit about her past, which will be one of my podcasts as well. We didn't go into detail, but just enough just to get a hint, what to look for, red flags. And sometimes you maybe hear that and be like, oh, that might be me. And maybe the next person will be like, right, okay, maybe I should be more cautious about things like that. And I think I tried to make sure my friends, just even my friends, like making sure like if someone said something, I was like, maybe girl, you should stop thinking it's you a problem. Maybe it's not you, it's the person you with. So it's almost like just being the safe place for people, even like trying not to judge. I think that's important part. I think that's one of my maybe superpowers. I can listen, I never judge, making sure that people can actually feel safe to share, where we're like, if tomorrow I need to forget about the conversation, I will. If that helped that person, amazing. So I think that is small things in life, but then they go a long way, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a secret.
Yeah, I love that. It is just creating that safe space, isn't it, for people to open up. And I think that it's creating that domino effect, isn't it? That if you can just be that person for one person to enable them to feel safe around you, open up, be vulnerable, share their story in that way, that then can help them be that one person for somebody else and then be that one person for somebody else, because it's allowed them to have that space to just be vulnerable in those moments and know that it is okay to kind of voice it and speak about it and let it go. Because I think that's one of the things, isn't it? When we hold on to so much as well, people don't realize how much that eats away at us when we don't actually voice it and we just hold on to all that negative energy. Um,
100%.
yeah, I love
Helps
that.
to heal. Never healing is never always linear. It's always a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But if that helps, it needs to be done. So, and just to know who else you can help with. So it's important. It's, I think, the ripple effect. Even one person can go to the next person. It's
Yeah.
just you don't know, and also don't know who you inspire. When maybe you share your side, maybe someone else will be inspired without saying that. So I think that's the beauty of talking about things sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So
Even
if,
the ones beautiful.
yeah, and if you could say to, like, if you could speak directly to a woman who feels stuck or unheard right now, what would you want her to know?
If you trust your instinct and you follow what you think is the right thing for you to do in a year, in 6 months' time, in 2 years' time, you will look back and you'll thank yourself for doing the step you may be scared to do. I think that's the most important part. Like, you just need to think what your future self gonna say to you. Is that like good long term? It could be anything. It could be a job. It could be relationship. It could be like so many different things, or something you're afraid to do. But also, in some situations, if you want to do like a big goal or achieve something, what's the worst can happen if you try? If you don't like it, if it's not for you, you can go back and or just stop it. So there is different situations where I would say, think about the future you, will thank you. And then other side is do it. And then if it's not for you, at least you know it's not for you. It's
Yeah.
yeah, I think the beauty of like take just going and doing it. Also, it's like a fun thing before they say your brain takes 5 seconds to decide it's afraid to do it. So if you don't wait, just agree and do it. It
Mm.
doesn't give you anxiety or stress. So yeah, that is one of my things, my advice. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think sometimes it is just not overthinking it, isn't it? And just going for it and knowing that nothing's final. Only because you've made a decision doesn't mean that that has to be your forever. You can change your mind, you can redo things, you can look at other options. But unless you try anyway, how do you ever
Right?
know if it's right or
Yeah.
wrong? Yeah,
Exactly. So like
yeah,
pageant, you can try. If it's not for you, it's fine. You might have a good experience, might meet people, and then you move on.
yeah.
But you just don't know where sometimes the odd experience can take you, or something completely opens new doors, new windows. Who knows?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And looking back at your own journey, what would you say your biggest lesson has been through it all?
Um, if oh, it's a good one. I think the biggest lesson, don't let other people, how to nicely say it. If you have a dream, don't let other people disbelieve in your dream or speak badly about it. Let yourself dream, and don't have to share your story or your dreams with people maybe negative or put a negative spell or thought on it. Just keep sometimes things to yourself, decide, and then do it. It's a beautiful thing about dreaming, and a lot of times when you dream about something, a lot of times it's the right thing for you, and in the weird ways you get there. So sometimes it's okay to keep some stuff for yourself and don't
Yeah.
tell everyone your next step, because not every single person wants to do you well or support and actually see you succeed. So some stuff can be personal, and dream it. I
Yeah.
think it's important.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And it's just not letting other people dim your light, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
Because people do that. You just
Yeah.
need to know who
Yeah.
those people are. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And we always finish with a certain question on Empower Her, and that is, what does empowerment mean to you?
I think empowerment could, as I say, come in different shapes and forms. It could be simple thing as just speaking with your friend about something you're passionate about, or maybe pushing them right direction to do it, something maybe they're scared of. Or it could be completely different thing where you maybe do your own thing, and along the way you might inspire other people, because someone maybe want to be where you are and just want to hear your story, how you get there, and not always your story is straightforward or easy road, but I think just sharing it, and then I think that's the beauty of it. So you can empower people, just be kind. I think that's another thing. You don't know people and what they're going through, so just being kind, and maybe sometimes just listening to someone, because maybe they just need a little minute to
Yeah,
share some stuff. And
yeah, yeah, I
simple
love
things.
that.
I think sometimes the simple things are powerful.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And I think especially in even like a lot of the work that I do about self-worth and mindset and empowerment, and even like with the pageant world as well, I think what you realize is that when we do rise as individuals, when a woman rises, we don't just rise alone. We inspire and empower other women to rise with us too. And that's what I love, because it is, again, it's kind of like shining your light on others, isn't it? And helping them know that they can also live out their dream and have more, and they don't have to just settle. And so, yeah, I love that.
This is, just bubble of positivity. Here
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, well, that's a lovely note to end on. A bubble of positivity.
That's what we're
Well,
here to
thank
do.
you so much, Deimante, for coming on today. It's been a pleasure to have you on the Empower Her podcast. I will also tag your podcast into this episode as well, so people can find you, because I'm sure people will take so much from your podcast too. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of your journey and our friendship to grow as well, because I know you're going to be a lifelong friend now, which I'm super excited
Just
about.
10 days in, still many years to come.
That's it. We're only a week in, so.
Doing that. Great.
Yeah. Bless you. Lovely. Well, take care, and I'll speak to you
Well,
soon.
thank you so much for having me. It was fabulous.
Oh,
Mwah.
you're welcome. Bye.
Bye.